talk more about the numbers of the Super Bowl, let's bring in Richard Tardits. He's a former American football linebacker for the New England Patriots of the NFL and joins us now from New Orleans. It's such a pleasure to have you with us on the program today.
Thank you very much.
First of all, for those of us, especially in Europe, that may be unfamiliar with the scale of the Super Bowl, help us get a quick idea of just how big of an event it is.
Well, that event is ranked among the top three watched events in the world. It's in the same level as the final of the 100 meters or 200 meters running race in the Olympics, or in the final of the Soccer World Cup that only happen every 4 years, where the Super Bowl happens every year, and every year you gather more than 140,000 people, 140 million people watching on television, and you fill up a city like New Orleans, which is pretty amazing.
Now, advertisers are willing to fork out, something like $7 to $8 million for a 30-second ad spot during the Super Bowl. But to advertisers, this is worth it.
It is worth it. When you have 150 million people watching it on TV, and you have, the stadium filled with 85,000, I think the most expensive 30 seconds on television is the just before the kickoff, where I think it's up to $10 million for 30 seconds. And people are going to watch it, and it's worth it.
And it's not just about the ads, but there's also the universe around the Super Bowl that's, that profit. There's also merchandise, all the merchandise, but also, of course, the sports betting that turns millions and billions of euros.
It is, and it's really amazing because it's the 59th Super Bowl, and then you would think that the game has not really changed much, over the years. And yet, every year it seems like the hype gets higher and higher, and more people want to be involved around the game. And and let's not forget, it's the America is the only sport where they play American football. It's not like soccer or anything else where it's played around the world. Only Americans play American football, and the season is very short, and it's the last game of the year, and nobody wants to miss it.
Now, let's talk about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, because they're, of course, the couple that's the most talked about in the Super Bowl. Taylor Swift has made the NFL almost $1 billion since she started dating Travis Kelce. Help us make sense of this Taylor Swift effect.
Well, it's a huge effect. I don't know if you remember last year where, it's also a very political effect, which actually going to make President Trump maybe come down to New Orleans, be the first time ever that an American president is attending the Super Bowl. I guess Taylor Swift and Kelce have made the choice clear last year that they were supporting Joe Biden, as a next president of the United States, and Donald Trump won that election. And Trump has said that he may come to the game, so everybody is expecting him to be there just to show Taylor Swift and Kelce who is the champion.
And now, the Super Bowl and American football in general are not as big in Europe as they are in the US. What inroads has the NFL made to broaden its viewer base here in Europe?
Well, many. I don't know if you've noticed, but in the past 4 years, there have been many games, regular season games, played in Europe and around the world. There was a game in Brazil last year. There were 2 games in Germany, 2 games in England. Next year, there's a game in Spain. There have been talks, and also a game in Ireland. There are talks that there may be a game in France. I think they're trying to make, this sport a global sport, even though it's not played much in those countries. And yet people are passionate about the game, and they want to watch it and be a part of the NFL.
Now, I have to ask you a few questions, not just about the numbers, but about the game itself, because we have the immense pleasure of having you, a former NFL player, on the program. This is a repeat of the Super Bowl 2 years ago. In your opinion, is this the game that America wants, or will there be viewer fatigue?
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm not sure the Americans really care who is going to be, if it's a red team, a blue team, or a black team. It's the Super Bowl. You're going to find a story on every game. This game happens to have many clinching, situations, a revenge of the game 2 years ago, a fact that if the Kansas City Chiefs can win the game, they'll be the first team ever to win 3 times in a row. So, you could find a story, and the Americans are very good at finding stories for any event and to hype up the event like they've been doing it.
And as you just mentioned, how historic would it be for the Kansas City Chiefs to win their 3rd consecutive Super Bowl title?
Well, they will make a dynasty out of this team. There have been many dynasties, in the 59 years of the Super Bowl. We've heard of Dallas Cowboys, about the San Francisco 49ers, the New England Patriots, in the beginning of the between 2000 2010. And the Chiefs are now the dynasty in the NFL, and they are the team to beat.
And in your opinion, it's this sort of dynasty that inevitably, gets established with like multiple title wins. Is that good for the game?
Well, it's very good, but as I just said, the NFL is about what's going to be next. I mean, tonight the game will be over. There'll be a new champion, and yet we'll be already talking about next year and all the traded and which team has a chance to be in the Super Bowl. And could the Chiefs do a four-peat? If they win tonight, could the Eagles be the new dynasty? It's really interesting how it's way beyond the game, and it's really a business. And what you want to do, you want to make your supply and demand go higher and higher, make the demand higher. So when the game is over, you just put it on a shelf and you go to 2025, and who's going to be in the Super Bowl, and what's going to be the story behind it. It's all a business. It's very exciting because it's a game at the end of that business. But in the end, it's who's going to be coming and watching the game.
And lastly, and quickly, if you will, as we're unfortunately running out of time, I'm going to end on a very unfair question. Is there a side you're personally rooting for?
Well, yes, I am, because I like the Eagles. You always like a challenger, I mean, it'd be great, of course, for the Chiefs to continue that dynasty, but you want the challenger. They've been there 2 years ago, so I think everybody is kind of rooting for the Eagles just to have a new kid in town, a new color, in all your T-shirts and flags.
Richard Tardits, former player for the New England Patriots, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us on the program.